Listen up. Do you want gear that works as hard as you do? Then I'm going to introduce you to Barbell apparel. These guys at Barbell, they're not just making clothes, they're making a statement. How about to start with a lifetime guarantee? And yes, you heard me right. This is not just some flimsy promise. This is a commitment. Barbell's gear is built to move, it's built to last, and it's built for you. If something goes wrong, let's say your squat PR is too much for that seam, Barbell has got you covered. Repairs, replacements, no problem. Barbell will take care of it, no excuses. And here's the thing, bodies change. Maybe you're packing on muscle. Maybe you're leaning out. Whatever your journey, Barbell Apparel says, we got your back. If you need a new size, you will get a hassle-free exchange. No questions, no judgment. This is not just clothing. This is your partner in the grind. Their mission is simple. They want to fuel your fitness, help you break your own limits, and look cool while you're doing it. Barbell is built for the everyday athlete and backed for life. So if you're ready to gear up like a champion, go to Barbell Apparel or just click on the link below. Dricus versus Islam. Islam says he could do it. Now, Islam did not just call out Dricus. I should remind you. Don't forget, Islam went all the way to 205 pounds. He could be champion all the way up to 205 pounds. Now, it's at that point that the person conducting the interview reminds him who the 205-pound champion is. Like, hey, maybe you heard Alex Pierre left the division, or maybe you forgot about Alex Pierre because you don't study the division. They reminded him who the champion was, and that strengthened Islam's resolve because wrestler versus kickboxer, ultimately. And ultimately, that argument has been settled dating all the way back to 1993. So as much as you may not believe that Islam could beat Pereira, Islam's argument for why he could beat Pereira is, quite frankly, guys, it's annoying. Because we'll never get the match. What's the point of us fighting about this? Then you've got Pereira. Pereira can't respond, right? Pereira's an 85-pounder calling out 205-pounders. He knows what it's like to call out bigger guys. He went and became one. Now he's a 205-pounder calling out heavyweights. He's not going that way. There's nothing he can do. He would look a fool. Can we agree? Like, even the best with the rhetorical skills is going to have a hard time finding the words to explain why they can beat somebody that much smaller. Okay. Well, let's try Dricus Du Plessis on for size. So, Dricus gets called out by Islam as well. Right now, this is just inadvertent. Islam is covering the spread. Islam could leave 155. He could be the champion at 70. He could be the champion at 85. He could be the champion at 205. He was never looking to call out anyone specific. The media then, rightfully so, let him know what you're saying. You're saying you could be champion 205. That means you're saying you could beat Alex and outrun Alex. You're saying you could be champ at 185. That means you're saying you can beat Dricus. And that's before we get to Sean Strickland and Khamzat Chimaev. Yeah. Yep, that's what I'm saying. You're hearing me correctly. Okay, great. Well, nothing we can do here, right, folks? Because if we learned anything from Alex getting called out, you can't respond. I mean, the guys at 170, Rachmanov can't respond. There's a rule. There's a rule. You can't respond to the smaller guy. Now, you could gladly take him on if he was to come up, but you can't come at him. Remember when they did this to Floyd? Then Dana was right in the thick of it when people were telling the media that Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd. Remember that? As a way of like promoting Ronda? There was nothing Floyd could do. And it was to the point where you almost felt, right? Because that's a fight. That's a verbal fight. That's a fight on stage, but one of them has a weapon, and one of them has no ability to defend the weapon. I got to set the stage for you. I got to make sure that you understand that there's nothing that you can do. Well, it turns out there is. Dricus said, that's an easy fight. Dricus said, I will fight him. Dricus said, that's an easy payday. Dricus said, Islam is too small. Dricus then, in a condescending tone, laughed. And if there's anybody that's charismatic when they smile and laugh, it's him. I watched Dricus get attacked by Sean Strickland in a street fight. It was the one in the audience, but those guys weren't supposed to be fighting. That's a street fight. Sean gets kicked out. The camera throws to Dricus, who lost that battle. I mean, he should have, right? You got one guy coming over the top rope, but he's standing on a chair. Like, nobody's trained to take on a dude that's up on a chair and comes down on you from higher ground. But either way, Dricus lost the battle. For what it was, he lost. They throw Strickland out. They don't even throw Dricus out. Dricus had done nothing wrong. They throw a camera on Dricus, who is now smiling and laughing about the moment. Now, anytime you, me, have ever smiled and laughed at a moment like that, it's called a downplay. You're trying to downplay what just happened. At times in your life, you've done that, and you're literally holding back tears. It could be in front of your classmates or something like this. Dricus looked handsome doing it. Like Dricus has a smile. He has what is better known as charisma. But at the time of the street fight, and at the time that Dricus did that, nobody knew he had any charisma. Nobody knew he had anything. The dude had 300 Twitter followers, and he doesn't even have a problem with the championship, of which he finds himself smack dab in the middle of. He's got a problem with a big-eared redhead named Bo Nickel, who's going to debut on a card ahead of him. That was his only problem. All Dricus ever spoke up for in his entire career was card placement over Bo Nickel, that at a minimum, if you're going to listen to him, you're going to make him fight Bo Nickel. But that's just not how the story went. They said, hey, Big Mouth, we'll give you a much better placement. We'll give you a co-main event, but co-main events are reserved for champions and former champions, so you're going to fight this guy named Robert Whitaker. And Dricus like, fine, that's exactly what I want. And we all laughed at him. He was going to get hammered in front of everybody. He was a 3-1 underdog. Exactly like he should have been. But that's where the Dricus story starts coming around, and there's certain things where the rules don't apply to him. Now, I'm trying to think who would have responded like this. Sean Strickland would have taken Islam's challenge. He'd have taken it right there on the stage. He'd have found it right now for all of you. And then whatever happened, he would let you know. He'd come into the gym and you could film it. Sean Strickland wouldn't care. Like, his ego just wouldn't be tied to that. He would tell you, I think I kick Islam's ass and I don't think he's big enough, but if you're telling me he's wrong, bring him on. Let's find out. That's how Sean would have handled that. Dricus basically did the same thing. I mean, Dricus calling Islam an easy paycheck and taking the time to state why. No profanity, no violence, no when I see you, it's on sight, man. No, he did none of those things. He said, you're too small. There's very few things that a man wants to not be told by another man. If you're trying to hurt, if you're going for the jugular, the C word for women, the C word, if you're trying to hurt them, you will bring up their weight, you'll bring up their age, you'll use the C word. With men, that's all encompassed with one word. Small. Dricus used the word small. The only thing a 155-pounder does not want said about him. The number one reason a 155-pounder went out there and learned how to fight in the first place was for respect, and he needed that respect. He needed to have it because the visual component wasn't there because he was small. I'm just bringing this to your attention. If there's anything that is going to prompt a response by Islam, see, I don't want you to see what Dricus said. You think, well, that was handled. And there's handsome, charismatic Dricus, and he's just going through life. Dum-dum-dum-dum. He called him small. The battle between Islam and Dricus is not over, guys. Mark my words, it just began.